The heavy double doors of the New York State Supreme Court groaned as they opened, revealing a courtroom packed with journalists, socialites, and high-priced lawyers. At the center of this media circus was Julianna Sterling, once the Queen of the Hamptons. Beside her sat her defense team, looking at a mountain of evidence that suggested Julianna had murdered her husband, the billionaire hedge fund manager Conrad Sterling. The prosecution called it a classic case of greed, a younger wife tired of waiting for her inheritance. But as the bailiff called the court to order, the air grew cold. This wasn't just a murder trial. It was a high-stakes chess game where the truth was buried under layers of Manhattan's darkest secrets. The prosecution's opening statement was a masterclass in manipulation. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," the district attorney began, walking slowly past Julianna. "Conrad Sterling was a titan of industry. He provided his wife with a life of unimaginable luxury. Penthouses in Manhattan, villas in Aspen, and a private jet. But for Julianna, luxury wasn't enough. She wanted control. On the night of October 14th, she disabled the security cameras at their Greenwich estate and administered a lethal dose of a rare, untraceable sedative into Conrad's vintage Bordeaux. She wanted his billion-dollar empire, and she wanted it now." Julianna sat like a statue, her face shielded by designer sunglasses. She didn't look like a grieving widow. She looked like a woman who was already dead inside. Her lead attorney, a legendary Bronx-born litigator named Elias Thorne, stood up. He didn't use notes. He just looked at the jury. "The prosecution sees a gold digger," Elias said, his voice a low growl. "But I see a woman who was a prisoner in a gilded cage. Conrad Sterling didn't give her a life. He gave her a nightmare. And the person who killed him isn't in this room yet." The trial took a shocking turn during the second week. The prosecution presented a series of voice recordings from Julianna's phone where she was heard arguing with Conrad about a post-nuptial agreement. "I'll see you dead before I sign that," her voice screamed in the recording. It seemed like the final nail in her coffin. The tabloid headlines the next morning were brutal. "The Black Widow of Wall Street." But Elias Thorne had a wild card. He called a surprise witness to the stand, a high-level whistleblower from Conrad Sterling's own firm, Sterling Global. The witness was a terrified IT specialist. "Mr. Miller," Elias began, "did you notice any unusual activity on Conrad Sterling's personal computer the night he died?" The witness swallowed hard. "Yes, at 11:30 p.m., while Julianna was supposedly killing him, someone was logged into Conrad's account from the Sterling Global headquarters in Midtown. They were deleting files, specifically files related to a massive fraud investigation the SEC was conducting against the firm's board of directors." The courtroom went into an uproar. Then Elias projected a GPS log from Conrad's Tesla. "Your Honor," Elias addressed the judge, "the car didn't stay in Greenwich that night. It was driven to a remote warehouse in New Jersey and brought back before the body was discovered. And the person behind the wheel wasn't Julianna. We have a fingerprint from the steering wheel that belongs to someone very close to Conrad." Elias turned and pointed at the back of the courtroom. "The murderer is Conrad's own brother and business partner, Marcus Sterling. Marcus knew Conrad was going to turn state witness and expose their multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme. Marcus didn't kill his brother for money. He killed him for silence. He framed Julianna because the public would eagerly devour the story of a greedy young wife." The final piece of evidence was a forensic reconstruction of Julianna's phone. It proved the screaming recording was a sophisticated AI-generated deepfake created by Marcus's team to ensure her conviction. The judge's face turned into a mask of steel. The verdict was swift. Julianna Sterling was acquitted of all charges. As she walked out of the courtroom, she wasn't met with cheers, but with the cold flash of cameras. She had lost her husband, her reputation, and her life in high society, but she had kept her freedom. Conrad's empire collapsed within days, and Marcus Sterling was arrested while trying to board a private flight to the Cayman Islands. In the world of the ultra-rich, loyalty is just a currency, and the truth is the most expensive thing you can buy. When everyone is wearing a mask, how do you find the monster underneath? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. This is Justice Journals. Subscribe for more tales of power, crime, and the cold hand of the law. The court is adjourned.